fabulous. Fabulous. Welcome, everybody, and happy spring. Got a little spring in here making the beautiful scent in the room. Take time to enjoy the flowers that are blossoming. And I am taking time to enjoy Bob Donnell. He is amazing. And I've actually known him for a few years. I have to ask him how many, because we met in one of these little boxes. And now we're friends. I've been on his podcast quite a while ago, and now finally he's on mine. I'm so excited. You might know Bob. He is a helper of people. I met him because he was going off to the shooting in Las Vegas to help the people. And he is got so much empathy and is out to help everybody. And he also is a student of human behavior, aligning behavior with desired results for entrepreneurs, CEOs, celebrities, athletes, and me and you and all of us, because we want to make sure we're doing this life assignment the very best we can, helping humanity. And here he is, Bob Donnell. Woohoo!
Woo. Thank you. Thank you.
The one and only in person. It is so nice to have you on my podcast for a change.
Yeah. Thanks.
Do you remember how long ago it was when I was on yours? I can't remember.
At least a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe 2 years, but at least a year and a half.
Yes, and that was very fun. But this is even better because now you're on my show.
I love it.
And I don't know who knows you and who doesn't. So many people should know you because everyone should be helping you out. I cried when I heard your story, actually. I don't want to start this with the sad part, but I want them to get to know you. So I want to jump into like the good stuff, but everything's good because it made you who you are.
That's right. It's the price paid.
Yes. And it's moved you forward and given you more empathy for other people and given you a better understanding into our hearts and souls.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who don't know, Bob's going to give you a little synopsis about how possibly he is Job from the Bible. This is modern day. Seriously. I know so many people have gone through so many things, but even if you line them up, not that we are ever competitive or anything, and we certainly don't want to be competitive in this arena, but whew, baby, I want to give you like a virtual hug.
I'll take any hug I can get.
So, let's see. Single mom, didn't know your dad. Mom gets sick, lives 2 more years after she gets diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Dies when you're 17.
Yeah.
You grow up and take it from there, baby.
I grew up and in 1979, I was 15 years old. And in that moment, my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer. I went to a youth camp and I remember feeling this calling. Like, I don't know what it is, but I knew I had a calling. And what it became, I thought I'm going to become a pastor, a youth at what? But I realized that my calling was to use my experiences in my life to impact others. And so that's what the calling became. So I started living out that calling, started a nonprofit organization at 19, working with suicide prevention, crisis intervention, ran that for a few years, and then kind of took on life, got married, had kids. And then I started going, okay, well, I need to do work that can actually support my life. And so I started doing a lot of different jobs. Everything I've ever done in my life since 15 was done with the one sole purpose of learning about human behavior. At 15, I had a gentleman walk up to me and say, Bob, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, I don't know. Why are you asking a 15-year-old kid why he wants it? And he goes, because you can learn a product, a service, or an industry, or you can learn something that drives every product, service, or industry. And I said, what's that? And he said, human behavior. And I said, sign me up. Facetiously, Cynthia. And he says, okay, go back to school and become a peer counselor. I go, okay.
And you did that.
Became a peer counselor and then founded my nonprofit at 19, ran that.
When did you, at 19, you did your nonprofit?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was amazing. and you got
Amazing
really
grand
good support. You've had
oh,
excellent mentors your whole life.
amazing mentors my entire life. Been very blessed. And then, fast forward a few years, I've um, had a daughter that died in a car accident that I witnessed because I was following them home. And she was 3 years old, and her name was Macy. And then fast forward a few years after that, my brother commits suicide. My oldest brother, who was 10 years older than me, so he was kind of like a father figure. And then the only real father figure I had was a friend's family, and the father died of a drug overdose. So that was really the only father figure I had other than my older brother. And then the most recent crisis situation was my I had a 2 month old grandchild that died of SIDS, and so I didn't even get a chance to meet her, but so that's
Oh.
part of the story.
Okay, is there a dry eye left in the place? I mean, and he did that at super speed. I'm like, "Whoo, whoo, whoo, whoo."
The thing, Cynthia, that I've realized is, like I said, I'm supposed to use my life experiences to help others.
Yes.
That was a plain and simple calling, right? So I'm like, okay, I don't have to be a pastor. I don't have to have a nonprofit. I can just help my life. So I started learning about from my life experiences. And one of the things I came up with this concept called price paid. It's right here on my phone, actually. Price paid. I said, what we
Sorry?
go through in life
What?
is the price
Oh, the
paid.
price paid.
So everything you and I have been through in our life, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the planned, the unplanned, you name it, that's the price we've paid to be who we are today. And the magic in that is you can either look at it as a price, as mean a cost, which it's a cost, it's just there, or you can look at it as an investment. And the
Yes.
investment means you can expect a return on investment, an ROI. And so that's what I've chosen to do. And I speak a lot on price paid. What's your life experience? Let's create a way for you to explain that and share that with more people so that you didn't learn it just for you. We don't learn things just for ourselves. We learn things for other people, including our family, our friends, our, people that go to our churches, our community members. That's what we're really learning it for. So we need to learn how to better share that so that it can have the influence that it was designed to have at the inception of that experience.
And Bob is going to ultimate sacrifice for us right now because he actually had surgery today and
Well,
was
they're just
put back
repackaged.
together.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." That's commitment. That's
Mhm.
commitment, guys. He's here, and we are continuing on even though we may be frozen. And you can say hi to your number 1 supporter, Flo. Hi, Flo. Nice to
Hey,
almost see
Flo.
you again.
I love you.
And hi, Freddie. Thank you for the support. That's from my other life that's coming back up. It's gonna be fun. But what is your passion right now?
I really draw a distinction between passion and purpose. Passion's a lot of things. I love golf. I love seeing, friends. If I had to pick one thing I could do as my last day, it would be to gather people together for meaningful conversation.
The
That's
best.
it. That's the best. I would rather do that than play golf. I'd rather do that than go to the gym. I'd rather do that than anything. Have meaningful conversations. So I've facilitated these meaningful conversations called Next Level by Association and Get Connected. And I've done them all over this country and several other countries. And that's really my passion, is developing relationships with meaningful conversation. My purpose, though, is, like I said, it goes back to helping people align their behavior with their desired result. You tell me what you want to achieve, then we'll develop a game plan, a strategy, if you will, to help you do that. We have to align our behavior with our desired results. Most people go, here's what I want to do, but they never say, well, who do I have to become in order to do that?
I wanna know who I have to become in order to do that.
Yeah. It's huge. I asked a guy who made $6 million one year when I was 24, 25 years old. And we were in church, and I walked up and I said, hey, can I buy you breakfast sometime? And he goes, sure. And we knew each other, knew of each other. We really didn't know each other. When we went to breakfast, and he says, I know why you want to meet for breakfast. I said, why? He goes, because you want to know how I made all that money that everyone in the church is talking about. I go, no, I don't really care how you made the money. There's a million ways to make money. He goes, then what do you want to know? I said, I want to know who you had to become in order to make that kind of money. Because who you had to become is going to tell me whether I want to do that or not. And he goes, never been asked that question, Bob. I said, well, I learned one of the things I teach is the quality of your connection will always be determined by the quality of questions you ask. And he said, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I said, okay. I said, here's what I want to offer. I want to offer to work for you 1 day a week for an indeterminate amount of time, 1 day a week. And he says, Bob, I'm 42 years old. I'm retired. I don't have anything for you to do. I said, look, I'll be your caddy on the golf course. I'll be your chauffeur and just drive you around. I'll go to you. Whatever you want me to do. He goes, why? I said, because I want to learn who you had to become, and I want to see if that's the kind of life I want. And he said, okay. So he invited me to come with him to the couple of days later. He said, show up at my house. We'll go to a meeting. I said, okay. We go to the downtown Los Angeles. There's a huge skyscraper. I mean, this was like 1989. And I look at and he goes, okay, we're going to go to the top floor. We're going to be in a boardroom meeting. And we're going to meet with a company that I'm thinking about buying, their CEO, their attorney, and their accountant. And I'm going to have my CEO and my attorney with me, or my accountant. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? He says, be a fly on the wall. So that's the whole reason I created my whole fly on the wall series where people can just listen in. And he says, wow, okay. So I said, I can do that. So we went up there. He takes out the P&Ls that are sitting on the table and he hands them to his accountant and says, could you go over these with Bob and explain what makes sense or what doesn't make sense for me to buy this company financially? And then he takes the contract to buy the company, hands it to his attorney and says, could you go over this contract and explain to Bob why this makes sense or doesn't make sense for me to buy this company? And I remember sitting there going, I am getting a PhD education in this.
Yeah.
And we did that for 6 months, at least once a week. He would include me in all his meetings, buying shareholder meetings, buying buildings, buying other real estate. You name it, I was included in everything. And at the end of that 6 months, he allowed me to become a partner and help sell some properties that he had. And I look back at that and I go, that was a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best experience I could have ever had. And I owe a lot of my life to experience that. I've done that 75 times at least, where I've taken somebody and said, I'll work for you for free. Just tell me what you want me to do. And they're always like, why? Why would you do that? I just want to learn. Yeah, but I mean, some of the stuff you already know. I go, I don't care. I want to know it. I want to know it inside and out. I want to see it practiced in real life.
Oh, I have heard that, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So who would you want to shadow now?
If I could shadow anyone, I would probably shadow. Be tough. I would like to shadow Elon Musk, although I don't know that I would get as much out of it, because his behavior is different than mine. So I might not be able to glean as much as I would like. But I would like to shadow people like Rick Warren, who founded Saddleback Church, Joel Osteen. I'd like to shadow him to see who he had to become in order to do that. People like. I'm gonna retract that. I would like to shadow Elon Musk because I think he's just fascinating. I don't have to agree with everything he says or does, but I think he's absolutely fascinating, and I really like that. Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. I know you and I are both friends with Mark, and Jack I've met several times. I would like to shadow him, probably. Yeah, I mean, those would probably be the three. Garth Brooks is somebody that I've really followed.
Yes, Garth.
Done a lot with him. I would definitely follow. I would shadow Garth. I've been very honored to be in his presence, several times.
Yes, you must tell the Garth Brooks story. I met him in I didn't actually meet him. I was like a few people away from him when we went through the
met him
in Wyoming at the big 50-year of the rodeo. Yeah, I was there for that. That was amazing. But your story with him is amazing. That song, please tell that story if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. When my daughter died, it was a car accident. I was following, and it unfolded right in front of me. And a couple of days later, after she passed away, I remember writing on a business card part of Garth's song that I love, and I loved Garth since 1989. And I wrote down, "Yes, my life is better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance.
Mhm.
Macy, you are the one dance I would never wish to miss, no matter how short the song was." And I
Mhm.
wrote it on the back of a business card, and I remember a lot of my friends were like, "Bob, just you know how to get a hold of celebrities. You work with celebrities. Just get it to them." I go, "No, it's gonna have to just be the right time." So I had been at a lot of events that he would be at. Never once was there. I'm like, that's weird. And I'm at this event in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay. And I remember during day of rehearsal, I'm standing there with some others, with some celebrities, and I'm talking to them. And all of a sudden, I hear over the PA speaker, "Mr. Garth Brooks, please come to the stage for rehearsal." And I'm like, I didn't even know he was going to be here. And so I walked up to the stage, and as he came off the stage, I said, "Garth, can I have a couple minutes?" And he goes, "Sure, what's up?" And I handed him the card because I carried it in my wallet. And one of the things I teach in Connectology is be prepared at all times. So I gave this card, and he just looked at it, and he just did this. "Bob, you and I need to talk." And I said, "Yes, sir, we do." And we spent the next 45 minutes standing in this crowded Mandalay Bay um, auditorium where they're doing this concert and these shows. And he stood there and talked to me as if I was the only one in the world. And we
You
had
are.
this amazing depth of conversation that I've only known 3 people that have given this kind of great presence, that they were so present. One was Jack Canfield, one was Garth Brooks, and one was Joel Osteen. And I said, he Cynthia, one of the magic things is, when you've gone through a tough situation and you share it, the natural response is, "I'm sorry." And the next natural response might be like, um, "Wow,
Mhm.
how can I help?"
Mhm.
Garth was so in tune and so present that he asked the tough questions. And I think that's one thing when we really want to have an impact, and we really want to help people, we have to learn to be able to be willing to ask the difficult conversation, have the difficult conversation. One of the things he asked me, he said, "Bobby," goes, "How old was she?" I said, 3. "How did she die?" "Car accident." "Do you have any other kids?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He goes, "What are their names and ages?" So I told him.
Oh,
"Cynthia, this is the first time that somebody's ever asked me." He says, "Bob, did they ever ask about her?" I said, "Yes,
yeah,
sir, they did."
yeah.
He said, "Bob, what do you tell them?" We had this amazing conversation. And I remember at one point I was crying, and I was just overwhelmed with things. And I remember saying, "Garth, I'm around a lot of celebrities. I'm sorry. This is not normal for me." And he goes, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "Bob, this isn't just a normal conversation. This is 2 men having an in-depth conversation." And I remember going, "God, this guy is so good. I know why I love this guy. I would follow him anywhere." And he asked me other questions like, "Well, what are you going to do with this type of information?" I said, I want to really talk to people about organ donation, because we donated 3 organs and 3 people are still alive because of her body, uh, and because of that sacrifice. I said, I want to do organ donation, and I want to use the message to make people feel like things are important that don't seem to be. I mean, the things that are important are not the things that we think are important a lot of times. And so I've been able to share that message a lot all over the world, many countries. And that was probably one of the most impactful conversations I had. I remember I was talking about Jack Canfield. I was telling him, I said, "Jack, you are one of the most present people I know. I love that about you. There's like 3 people that I think are the most present people." And he goes, "Who are those?" And I said, "Well, you, one." And he goes, "Okay." And I said, "Garth Brooks and Joel Osteen." And he said, "I'm in good company."
Mhm.
No ego. No, I've got to compete with this. It was just like, I'm in good company. I love that about Jack Canfield. He is just, I love him.
And you're in that group.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Very nice of you.
It's true. It's
You
true.
know, one of the cool things that Garth did, every time I've talked to him, he's been like, "That's so sweet." I remember I handed the phone to my wife at that point, and he was talking to her, and I remember when he says, "You know, Bob is so sweet," and I remember thinking, I don't think I've ever been called sweet by another guy, but I loved it. I mean, I loved it, and I think about that, and I go, when you just allow somebody to be who they are, you get a wide opening ability to influence and be influenced by people. And I have a similar story with Tim McGraw, very similar story where I just allowed him to be who he is, and he showed up the way he is, and it blew my expectations off the wall.
Yeah. Do you have a story there?
Yeah, I was standing at I had
You know
gone
what?
to
I'm gonna let you tell that story, and I'm gonna sign off and sign back in to see if I can get myself back live, if you don't mind.
fair enough.
So you keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you.
So yeah, I was I think it was at the Country Music Awards in LA before they switched to Vegas, and I saw Tim and Faith were there, and I was talking to some other people, and one of the presenters wanted to meet Tim and Faith, and I said, let me arrange that. So I went over, got Tim and Faith to come over and meet them, and this person was so happy. They sent me an amazing gift that I wish I still had. It got lost. But I was then a couple of months later, 6 months later, I was at the Grammys at Staples Center, and it was a day of rehearsal, and it was the big day, and Tim McGraw was standing out in the audience, empty, pretty much empty. But Faith Hill was taking the stage, and she was singing, doing her rehearsal. And Tim McGraw looks at me. We're standing about 5 feet away. He doesn't remember me. He doesn't know who I am. He says, "Hey, do you have a lighter?" I'm like, no, but I'll find you one. So I go find a lighter, bring it back to him, hand it to him. And he does this. Cynthia, was so cool. He does this. Remember, Faith is up on stage. He takes the lighter and he does this. And it was this moment that we were like, oh, it's so cool. Well, we spoke for 3 or 4 minutes after that. That was it. That was my whole interaction. Then when maybe 5 years later, I'm across the street from the Anaheim Pond, which is now the Honda Center, and I'm about to meet some clients and prospects. And I'm standing there and I see this guy walk up, and I'm like, that's Tim McGraw. He's got a baseball hat on, sunglasses. Nobody's going to recognize him. I go, "Hey, Tim." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Can I share a story about you, me, and Faith?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, and I told him that story about the Staples Center and how he was holding the lighter. And he goes, "Oh." I said, "That was the coolest moment. Man, this is so cool." He goes, "Wow, thank you." He goes in. I sit down at my table with my clients and prospects. He sits over there with one of his bandmates, I think. And I take a business card, and I read on the back, "Tim, you've been such a blessing to others. My turn to bless you. Lunch is on me." And I folded it up and I handed it to the waitress, and I said, "Could you just take that over to the guy in the baseball hat?" She didn't know who he is. She's like, "Sure." Hands it to him. He looks across the restaurant, says thank you. We all finish our meals. When he finishes, he takes the time to come over from his table on his way out. He has to go this way, and he does. He goes this way, walks over to my table, sticks his hand out and says, "Tim or Bob, it's so great to see you again. Want to introduce me to your friends?" My relevancy at that table went through the roof. Um, and I think one of the things that I really pride that experience on is my ability to say, "Here's what I'm going to do," because that's just who I am. I'll buy somebody's lunch. I'll do that. That's just, there was no, trying to get him to give me tickets. It was just doing what I normally do. And then with no expectation for him to come over to the table, but that's just who he is. So I got to be who I wanted and who I am always, and he got to be who he is. So I think that was one of the coolest stories. And then I got a chance to see him several years later, and I said, "Hey, Tim, you gave me one of the greatest treats in my life." He goes, "What's that?" And I said, "You gave me the opportunity to buy you lunch." He goes, "When?" So I told him. He goes, "I remember that." So great guy. I mean, I tell you, heart of gold, solid guy.
Fabulous. You've used that technique a lot to meet a lot of wonderful people. Think about this,
Yeah.
just going up, tell 'em the Rolls-Royce story. That's another good one.
Oh yeah. I was driving down the street. This is probably 1980. This is probably 91, 92. And I'm driving down the street and I see this Rolls Royce pull up next to me at a stoplight. And I look over and he looks over and like he's Middle Eastern. And I drive up to the next street and we're stopped at this light again. So I roll down my window. He rolls down his window. I said, "Sir, can I buy you lunch sometime?" And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because obviously you've done something I haven't at this point in my life, and I'd like to learn." And he goes, "Pull over." So I pull over.
You're brave.
And, yeah, I'm brave. Yeah. Um, but what's on the other side of that bravery is I wanted to know something so bad that
Yeah, that's
it
what you
didn't
do.
have to be, I didn't have to be brave. I just knew that that's what I wanted more than the fear. So
Excellent.
we had lunch. He took me and drove me around and showed me apartment buildings that he had bought when he came over here. Um, one he brought one family member over at a time, and it was just this amazing experience where we drove around and drove around, and then we're having lunch, and he goes, "Bob," he goes, "Why would you?" I said, "I said, why would you let a stranger into your car?" And he goes, "Because you wanted to learn." He goes, "Bob, I can count on one hand the number of people that ask me for advice or learning versus how many ask me for a handout. The fact that you wanted
Mm,
to learn was my answer was going to be yes." And he's since passed away, but an amazing human being, Luke Thodum. He owned Thodum Properties #5, Thodum #5 properties in downtown LA. Amazing guy, just great experience. And I remember one of the things when we were going through these apartments that he'd bought. He walked in. He said, "I'm going." I said, "What are we doing here?" He goes, "I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk to the my investor, talk about my investment." I said, "Okay, so what are we going to do?" He goes, "We're just going to go in and talk." I said, "Okay, fair enough."
mhm.
So we do. And he says to me, just kind of be with me. I said, "Okay." So I'm just shadowing him. He walks in, walks right to the office of the apartment building, starts talking to, "Hey, Judy, how are you doing? How are the kids doing? What's going on with
I
John?" And
love
whatever. And
it.
I'm like, I'm listening to this. I'm like, I love this guy's approach.
Yeah.
But then we left and we went back to the car and I said, I thought there was, he says, "What did you think?" I said, "I thought there was going to be more interaction about the business, like checking receipts, checking balance." And he goes, "Nah." He goes, "Bob," he goes, "my business is based on people.
Mhm.
If I take care of my people, I'm okay." And I said, "Thank you. Noted." But like I said, I've had at least 75 of those experiences, some for a day, some for a meeting, some for, many months, but always, always delivered to me more than I could have ever given them.
Such a gem. And just think, guys, all he did was reach out and say, "Hey, can I buy you lunch, breakfast, dinner, coffee, tea?
Yeah.
Coffee, tea, or me?" Like, learn, learn, learn. I wanna say a shout out to Eric B. Flanori. He's always so wonderful
Eric,
joining me.
love you, brother. He's a
We
great
do
guy.
love you. We do love you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Take care of your people, most important thing.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And we do take care of our people, and we're trying to do an even better job, and we're trying to get the rest of the world on board. Because if
That's,
everyone took care of each other, we would be in a better place. But we can
amen to
do it.
that.
We can do it.
Amen to that.
What brings you joy? Connecting people, being happy, but what makes your heart sing?
That's the thing that makes my heart sing. I mean, obviously, the obvious is your kids. Those bring joy. But the opportunity to connect people, in connectology, I teach how to connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime, and then
Mhm.
how to teach them how to connect, and then how to connect them with others. And so connect with yourself with others, and then connect others with others. I think that's one of the cool things is the ability to just really walk into a room, have an influence, have an ability to connect with people at a very deep level. So one of the things I teach is to stop asking stupid questions. Stop asking, "What do you do?"
Ugh.
What do you do is just so I have a thing that I tell people when they come up to say hi. A lot of times I'll say, "Hold on, before we even get started, do you mind if I ask you a different question than what everybody else asks you?" You know, Cynthia, I've never had somebody say, "No, I want to be asked the same question over and over again." Never. They've never said that. They go, "No, what's the question?" And I might ask, some other kind of question that has an outcome that I'm looking for. And they'll be like, "Wow." But the idea of that is to develop strength, develop resilience, and to develop real relationship currency. And when you have depth, the relationship can stand almost anything. But when you have a shallow relationship, which is typically built by, "Hey, what do you do?" You're going to have a hard time building it. That's not a very good foundation to develop anything on. So I
Yes.
always say that your inner game must be strong enough to support the actions required for the result desired. Tell me what you want. We'll create a strategy. If your inner game doesn't support doing those activities to get that, you're not going to get it. And if you do, you'll get it for a very short period of time and it'll crumble and fall down. It's like the foundation of a house.
And you've gone into places where people just were so welcoming to you because you listened to their heart and soul when they were in the worst crisis of their life.
Yes. Several instances like that.
And you've done it on multiple occasions.
Yeah, the hardest one, I get asked a lot of times, which is the hardest one you've ever been to? The hardest one was Uvalde, Texas, the school
Oh,
with all the kids, 20 kids, 21 kids. That was the hardest of all. But I've done Las Vegas, done Saugus, done El Monte Police Department. I've done a lot of them all over the place, but that was the hardest.
so you just heard about it, got in your car and drove there?
That's it.
And just walk in and say, I'm here to help. I'm here
I'm
to
just,
listen. I'm
yeah,
just
I just walk in and say, I just walk up to people that I know, or maybe at a graveside, or maybe at a memorial, or whatever, and I'll just walk up and stand next to them. I believe that my ministry is just of presence. It's not of, I got to say something brilliant. I got to ask. It's just be there, be present, and by and large, 90% of the time, they start the conversation. But if I have to start the conversation, like I did in Las Vegas several times, I remember standing there looking at all these memorials, and there was this young girl standing there, and she was crying, looking at the memorial, and I'm like, "How well did you know her?" And she goes, "She was my best friend."
Mm.
Wow, I'm so sorry. I said, "Can you share a memory with me that really stands out for you?" And she goes, "Yeah." She takes out her phone, she starts flipping through pictures, and she says, "It was prom, and I didn't have a date, but her and her boyfriend took me with them to prom, and look at all these pictures." And so we're showing all these pictures, and we're both just standing there having this amazing interaction, and it all came because, one, you ask better questions, you get better answers, but two, being present enough for somebody to feel like you really do care when you ask a question that they're willing to answer.
And open their heart to you and pull out all the pictures and
Yeah,
bring her out of that place of despair into remembering the
yeah,
joy that she had with her and
yeah,
the good parts.
yeah. Because you want to give them something to think about other than the fact that they just lost someone, but you don't want to overshadow the loss,
Right.
make them think that that doesn't matter. So
It
I
will
think that's
always
one of the things I do a lot when I talk about when I teach people about how to go and be present at a situation like that.
Mhm.
Um, you have to be willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are. And if you're willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are, you can really have a maximum benefit and help them. But most people are there for their own reasons, and I understand that. Um, when I went to Uvalde, it was like the first minutes that I was there. I walk up and I see a chaplain. Now, the chaplain is typically the person there going to hold everything together. And he's looking at the pictures, and I said, "Sir, how many of these have you been to?" And he looked at me and he goes, "Too many." I
Oh.
said, "I'm so sorry." And he started to cry. Now, this is the guy that everyone goes to in this moment. And he's crying, and I start to cry. And I said, I can't even imagine. And we just had this amazing exchange. We stood there and hugged. And I think that's such a powerful time. Like I said, they influenced me way more than I influenced them. But it's an amazing opportunity when we will shut up, be still, and be present to other people. Hands down, the best experience we'll ever have.
Yeah.
So my purpose when I'm there isn't to make them feel better, isn't to give them great words of wisdom, read Bible verses, none of that. My purpose to be there is to fulfill my calling, and that is to impart vision and strategic action.
And give hugs.
Give hugs. It might come through that, yeah. So I've been really blessed that I've had great business experience. I've had great business mentors, but I've had real good life mentors. And so I'm blessed.
And you've had great guests on your shows too.
Great guests. Yeah, very blessed. Great. Joe Ingram saying Connectology is the best course that everyone needs to go to. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. That is very cool. I have to get on the next one. So you've got the open podcast Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific.
10 a.m. Yep.
So guys,
video.
you can hear more from Bob on that. And he has amazing guests. One guest that I actually met in a podcast that I really liked was Tommy. He wrote
Baylor.
the song and he did the Way of the World. Why don't
Tommy
that
Baylor.
you want to talk a little bit about him or that interview?
Yeah, Tommy
Or
Baylor.
any other favorite ones? That one just jumped out at me.
Yeah, Tommy's a great one because he's just so real. His celebrity does not matter to him. It's it's his life. It's his living out his life's purpose.
Just
Tommy
like you
wrote.
are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tommy wrote "She's Out of My Life" that Michael Jackson recorded and made really famous, and then now so many other people have recorded it. But he also co-produced "We Are the World," and he's part of the documentary that just came out about "We Are the World."
Oh, is
So
that
Tommy and I were both. What's that?
That just
It's
came out?
really good. It's really good. Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Netflix? Oh,
Uh-huh.
cool. I want to see that. Yes, thank you.
He and I were both speaking at an event again in Las Vegas. I'm seeing a theme here. We're speaking in Las Vegas, and I remember hearing his story, and he even played "She's Out of My Life" on a little keyboard in front of it, in front of the audience. And I thought, I'm getting to hear him sing his song that no one ever knows. All they know is Michael Jackson's version.
Right.
Probably. And so afterwards I said, Tommy, I'd love to buy you breakfast tomorrow morning. Can we? And he goes, oh, let's do it. We met for breakfast, and it was supposed to be like, an hour-long breakfast. It was 3.5 hours long, 3 hours over 3 hours.
That must have been fabulous.
And I remember going, this was mind-blowing. And Tommy and I just became really good, close friends. He became, he comes to the Next Level by Association dinners when we were doing dinners. He's come to our virtual ones. It's not only that he comes when he's the guest, he'll come when he's not the guest. He'll just show up and say, Bob, isn't it tonight? It's tonight. Okay, I'll be there.
That's great. I love it.
I love him. He is real folk. And very good friends with Quincy Jones, has done everything you could possibly imagine. Just an amazing guy. Shares his heart from his love for his dad. Things that he learned from his dad, the things and the way he shares them are just so powerful.
Yes, and you did not get that learn from your dad opportunity.
Nope, did not.
But you learned a lot from your mom, the limited time that you had her.
Mom was awesome. Yeah, being a single mom, she was raising 3 of us boys, and she didn't have any money. She wasn't getting child support. She wasn't getting anything, and she was sick a lot. I remember growing up, and so, but I remember thinking, man, she's got such resolve. She's a force. And as I grow up older, I'm like, she was even more the force than I thought she was. But I remember when she was dying. She was probably about 6 months before she passed away, and I remember her sitting out on the porch in the middle of the night crying. And I remember walking out and going, Mom, are you okay? She goes, yeah. And I said, why are you crying? And I point blank asked her, are you afraid of dying? She goes, no, Bobby, I know where I'm going. I'm
Of
not
course.
afraid of that. I said, well, are you in pain? Do you need another shot? Because I would give her morphine shots in the middle of the night. And
Sure
she
does.
said, no. She goes, no, I'm not. No, I'm fine. I said, what's going on then? She goes, I'm afraid that I won't be here to see you graduate.
Oh.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? You just lost all your hair. You've blown up like a blimp. You are in pain. You're taking morphine. You don't have anything in the present to look forward to. And you're concerned about me graduating high school?
Oh. That's where you get it from.
That's why
Mm.
I wrote that's when I wrote the book Mastering Your Inner Game after my daughter died. But that's why I wrote the first chapter of Mastering Your Inner Game, commitment. What
Mm.
does commitment look like, sound like, feel like? And I went, that's commitment to me. My mom's sitting there going, I'm more concerned about seeing my son graduate than I am all the pain and everything else I'm going through. She didn't. She died in October, and I graduated in May. So
Close. She was there in spirit. See, that's where you get it from, right? Good
yeah,
genes. Good genes.
she was amazing. So I'm very blessed that I've had the mom that I had.
Moms.
Well, you know
I know. I know. That's why it
firsthand.
hooked me.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
that's why it hooked me. I'm like, "Whoa." And
yeah.
Mother's Day is coming up.
Yep,
Blessings to all the moms out there. We love you. The world goes
absolutely.
round. You go, women. Moms,
Yes.
stepmoms, grandmas, moms of furry things, moms of four-legged things, all the moms nurturing. Yep, Eric says, "Gotta love mama. Gotta love mama."
Gotta love mama.
Who else was one of your favorite podcast people?
I always loved Glenn Moore, Sharon. You know Glenn. Glenn and I've been
Oh, I
friends for
love
many
Glenn.
years. We've had so many real depth conversations. Um, I always loved Glenn. Um,
He's
I
my
think,
fave. He's like
yeah,
water to me. You can't live without it.
yeah, yeah. He's definitely a favorite. Lee Steinberg, the great sports agent
Oh,
for
yes,
Jerry
Lee's
from
got
Jerry
amazing
Maguire.
energy. He's got a story,
He's
yeah.
an amazing human being, and his story is fascinating. And so, we've been friends for I don't know 7 or 8 years now, maybe 9, 7 or 8 years, and I just love him, love who he is. One thing you'll know about me if you're spending time with me, I love who people are more than what they do. If I don't ask what they do, I ask who are you, because who they are will determine the quality of everything they do.
Mhm.
So ask a better
Follow
question,
through.
get a better answer. I ask, what do you do? Shallow. Who are you? How did you? I just left my doctor and I said to him, I said, how did you get such great bedside manner? See, a good question begets a better question. So I use connectology even when I'm doing my daily practices. I said, how did you get such great bedside manner? He goes, my
And
mom
yet
and dad. I said, your mom and dad, really? And he goes, yeah. So, hmm. So he says, yeah, that's where it came from. I said, well, you have excellent bedside manner. So I want to tell you that. And secondly, have you told your mom and dad that? And he goes, no, but Mother's
ooh,
Day and Father's Day is coming up soon. I'm going to get a card.
ooh,
So
nice
my
one.
thought is to plant seeds that can then be watered and fertilized by somebody else.
That's
And,
beautiful.
it's things like that. I was brought to a house one day with a 15-year-old daughter and a mom and a dad. And I knew the mom, but I didn't know the dad. And we're sitting there around their island in their kitchen. And I just sat there and I said, what's your favorite thing about your daughter? And they told me. And I said, what's your favorite thing about your mom and dad? And their mom and dad are like leaning in now. They want to know. And the girl's 15 years old. She goes, I know that no matter what, my mom and dad are together.
Ooh.
I said, explain. So you don't have to have an elaborate question after that. Just explain. More, please. Say more, please.
Mhm.
And she went, no matter how bad the fights are, no matter how bad the arguments, I know that my mom and dad are together.
Mm.
I went, wow.
Insightful.
And I remember them looking, just going, because see, nobody's ever going to ask the 15-year-old kid that. So she's never going to answer that. And so mom and dad are going to never know what their kids are really looking for and looking at. When I left Garth that first time I met him, he said, "Hey, Bob, take care of your other kids." I said, "Yes, sir, I will." And I said, "You take care of yours." And he goes, "I will." And it was less than a year when he decided to retire from touring and music and retired and said, "I'm not going to come back on the road until my youngest daughter's out of high school." Now, I can't say that there's any correlation there, but come on, it's a pretty good coincidence. He was probably thinking about retiring or had already given some consideration. But I love his humility, his humbleness. When somebody said, "Well, Garth, will you go back on the road after your daughter's out of high school?" And he said, "If my fans will have me, I'll be back." Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing. Amazing. And Dan Altmeier's here. Hey, Dan. He says,
Love Dan. Hey, brother.
Bob Donnell is a product of positive outlook and finding the best in people. And I guess we could add to that, Dan, and planting the seeds so that they can be watered and fertilized and grow into the next kind act, the next step to saving their own family. And from that on, it goes on and trickles into the water, into the ocean, and saves more of each person in humanity, in the universe.
Thank you,
And
sir.
you do that every day.
Mm.
That's not just like now and then at big events. You do that every day in small ways and big ways.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing.
I so appreciate that. I don't take that lightly. I really mean that.
It's
When
it's
somebody says something like that, I just really do greatly appreciate that. I've found, and I heard something like this before, and I've kind of modified it to be my own, but that every minute that you and I operate from less than our absolute best, every minute that we operate from less than our absolute best, the world operates from a deficit.
Ooh, ouch.
Whew. If
Y'all,
that
we have to
doesn't,
pick up our game.
yeah, right. And it's like that's okay. I got to do something more. Then I got to do something better. And I think that's kind of where that comes from. Is like I don't want to stand by and be a part of the problem, watching the world operate from a deficit. If I have the wherewithal to say or do something or be something that can create that change.
Yep. Take on your assignment as being a good human being. A good human being, helping the other human beings be the
Yeah,
best human being they
that's right.
can be.
That's right.
Yes. Rock and roll, man. Rock
I
and
see
roll.
Megan DiMartino is on. Hello, Megan.
Hey, hey, thanks for playing. And we want to pop up, Eric, can you pop up Bob's books too in case you don't I actually ordered them today on Amazon.
Oh, cool. I saw that. Thank you.
So I just want to do that as a little thank you. I usually read them in advance, but somehow I got mixed up in my world.
Okay.
So I look forward to reading them and I look forward to catching you and looking at this next level. So tell us more about next level. Tell us about these two books and next 30 days to your next level, guys. You know, we can go up to our next level in 30 days. That's what they say, but I think it's got a lifetime of practice.
It does. I mean, what I say is every next level demands a different you. I teach a lot of next level pillars. And so that's one of the pillars. Every next level will demand a different you. It doesn't request it. It doesn't say it's a good idea. It will demand it. And so I think that when I talk about 30 days to your next level, it doesn't stop at 30 days.
Right.
That's just the jumping off point. So I think that when I look at the next level pillars and everything next level, people always say, "Bob, how did you come up with the name Everything Next Level?" I said, because I kept hearing the term next level so much. People are like, got to go to the next level again. And I'm like, well, if everyone's already saying it, why not name my company that? So they'll go, "Oh, you have everything." Oh, I've heard of that. Probably not, but you've heard the term next level. And so that was one of the reasons I did that. But
Brilliant.
then people say, "Well, what is the next level?" I say, every next level is different for every different person at every different point in their life. What's my next level may not be yours. I have clients of mine that their next level isn't about making money. Their next level isn't about the next house, the next car, the next job, the next business that they're going to start.
Just
I've got
stuff.
clients of mine that their
Like,
next level is literally, how do I leave a legacy?
yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that may be somebody's next level. And people always say, well, so does it have to be a movement up? No, absolutely not. It might be a movement sideways or down. But the next level is always going to be that thing that is your purpose in that moment, and it may change from time to time.
So you're working on your next level and you're giving this wisdom to others. What are you doing for your next level?
I'm involved in a lot of different things. I spend probably 3 hours a day research and development on personal behavior, personal behaviors as well is probably the best thing I can say. I take a lot of courses online, in person. I surround myself with a lot of people. I do a lot of things virtually, so I can be a part of that. I can sharpen my saw and then help others sharpen their saw.
It's a pretty sharp saw, baby.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed, like you are, right? I mean, we have mutual friends, and but
So
it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we want to be in that room, and we want to sharpen our saw, and we want to be a source for them to sharpen their saw. But here's one thing I always found: people always say, "Well, I hate conflict." Well, if you hate conflict, you're not going to be very sharp. A match only gets lit by conflict.
correct.
A knife only gets sharpened by something harder than itself.
Yep.
A knife will never get sharpened by butter.
Nope.
And so we have to welcome that experience of maybe being a little bit more uncomfortable than we are to do it. I'm working with a drug addiction right now with somebody, and they're in prison, and a bunch of stuff. And the hard thing for that is there's not a whole lot they can do when they're incarcerated. But when they get out, you want to say things and do things and be something for them that will allow them beyond that point. So it's going to be uncomfortable. I had a lady who was 80 years old, wanted to die. And I was told she wants to commit suicide. Can you come help her? I said, sure. So I drove about an hour to get there. And I walked in the room and I said, so you're the one that wants to die? And the people in the room were like, oh, like, why are you bringing that up? And I go, look, she already knows. She's the one that told
Elephant in the
you.
room. Yeah.
They're like, oh. So we sat there, and I asked questions. There's all kinds of questions you can ask to help somebody kind of help facilitate that conversation. But if somebody's apathetic, when they're apathetic, it's a tough one to ever get recovered from, because apathy says you can change my circumstances, you can give me all the money in the world, you can give me the love of my life, you can give me the car, you can do anything, and I'm still going to be unhappy. Apathy is way worse than depression. Give me a depressed person any day of the week. Apathy is brutal. And I sat there and I was working with her, and she just had shark eyes. Just shark eyes. And so I said to her, excuse the language, but I said it for effect. But I said, what about your mom? What about your kids? What about your dogs? What about, and she's like, no. And I said, so you're a fucking selfish bitch. Well, as soon as she went, I knew I had her, because now I've got a response. Apathy's gone. Now it's involvement. And to this day, to the best of my knowledge, she's still alive. And that was 15 years ago.
Wow.
And she sent me a wonderful email saying, because of you, because of this statement, because of this conversation we had. So I think that, are we willing to be uncomfortable, and even more uncomfortable than they are? See, for me, saying that, my mom would have washed my mouth out. She would have said, I'm looking for lightning bolts. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, really? You're going to say that to an elderly lady? And I said, the outcome is worth the income. And the income is going to be, I'm going to be uncomfortable. The outcome is going to be, it's going to change your life. And when I do intervention, the whole focus is on results. I don't care if you like me. Matter of fact, you won't like me. When I'm coaching someone and working with somebody, I tell them right at the beginning, look, you're not going to like me. You're going to hate me. And I'm okay with that. I'll be okay with that just long enough for you to get to the point where you go, I don't love him, but I love the results.
That's powerful.
Very blessed.
Yes. And so, how do you accept people into your programs? What's the deal? You go out and find them, they come to you, both?
Both. I might go speak someplace and might have people that want to, talk to me about things. They might want to go online. I've had people call me online out of seeing a video or something and say, "Hey, can I be one of your one-on-one coaching clients?" Yeah, there's a process. Typically, taking it, have a conversation, determine whether they're really serious. Because I tell them, look, I am not going to be the person you want me to be. I'm going to be the person you need to be. You need me to be. And so one of my criteria is people must be open-minded to be in my life, in my real tight circle,
Mhm.
friends, strategic partners, or clients. So I have a set of questions that I ask that help me understand whether they're open-minded. Once they've established that, then I go, okay, well, there's a good possibility here. Some people maybe want to join my group coaching call. My group coaching calls $50 a month. It was 99 before the pandemic. I reduced it to 50 so people could stay involved. $50 a month. Um, and it might be just that. They just want to have a place to call. And
Thanks, Dan. Dan just bought 30 days to your next level.
nice. Thank you,
That's
Dan.
2 sales today that you didn't know about.
Nice. Nice. I love that.
Technically 3.
Love that. Love that.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan.
Dan's
Appreciate
great.
it,
We
brother.
we have to get his book. I think his book just came out.
It did. It just came out. Yeah.
Yes, congratulations, Dan Altmeyer.
Very excited for
Put the
him.
name of your book in the chat so other people know it too.
Yeah. Put it in there.
And all of these are available on Amazon, right? I know
Yeah.
Bob's are. Dan, let us know if yours is.
Yeah.
But okay, so here you are interviewing them. You might invite them to the group chat, and then
Yeah. One of the things about the group coaching is for me, it's like, how many times, Cynthia, do you get asked by people, "Hey, can I pick your brain?
oh, I'm
Hey,
so
Bob,
tired of that one.
can I just ask
I'm
you
really
one question?" Well, Cynthia, I found a way to eliminate that.
okay, good.
Somebody says, "Hey, Bob, can I pick your brain?" Yeah, Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Write down this number. Here's where you can ask me a question. But I'm standing right here. Can't I ask you now? No. What does that tell me right there? If
They're
they
not
copy attitude, they're not open minded.
hmm,
Therefore, I don't waste my time with them. I don't have to spend an hour to figure that out. Intervention means we try and find things happening quick, not therapeutic, where we're waiting to make somebody feel better. So that's one of the cool things is Wednesdays, just hop on the Wednesday coaching call. That's okay. Somebody hops on there. I've already allocated that time anyways. I'm not adding more time to my schedule. It's an allocated time that's in my calendar. It has been for 12 years. So
good consistency. That's another thing, guys. You gotta
very
be
consistent.
consistent.
Yeah.
Bob is the epitome of consistency.
I would like to say I am all the time, but you and I both know I'm not. There's times when I'm not.
Well, that's life.
It's
You gotta
life.
have life. You gotta roll, stuff happens.
Yep.
But in general, I would say yes.
Yeah, be flexible, right? Don't hold yourself to such a rigid thing that it's based on what you do, but based on who you are.
Oh, here we are, aging gracefully, planning thoughtfully,
There it is.
financial planning strategies for
I love
dementia
that.
and long-term care. That
Love that.
ties right into Bob's legacy. So
Mm.
planning for that before you get there and then following through with Dan, so you get all the financial stuff in line because that's what Dan Altmeyer is, expert at,
He is.
among
He
other
is
things, but
quality human being.
yes. He's
Quality
taught
human
me a lot. I've liked hanging out with him.
being. Yeah, he's fun. Fun guy.
Yes. Very smart guy. Funny too.
Mhm.
He's got a
Very,
sense of humor. Guy has
very.
some humor. Oh, well, Bob, I'm ready to have a cup of tea with you and snuggle up with a
Okay.
conversation.
Okay.
It would be lovely. It is lovely.
Yeah, it is.
Does anyone have any other questions they want to put in before Bob finishes this thought as we come to the top of the hour already, when we're just getting ready to find out more about how he will accept you or not accept you and what you can do?
I mean, I just think that there's always something that somebody can do. They can become a part of a group coaching. They can become part of one-on-one. They can just be part of the live podcast. And there's people that have access to the live podcast and have access to ask questions and be a part of the question and answer. My Next Level by Association is something where I bring in different people over the years. And during that time, the members actually have access to ask the questions of the guest of honor. So it's always a great opportunity. Always amazing insights.
Dan has a question. What is the most challenging interview you've ever had?
I can't tell you a specific one because I don't really have that on top of my head, but I can tell you the type of interview that creates the most challenge, and that is where the questions are geared towards the mundane, status quo, versus having a question that says, got to think about that. And my questions aren't designed to make somebody stumped. My things are to make the content so palatable for everyone to go, I got something out of that. I'm better for having been on that podcast. I'm better for being in that meeting, having that conversation. Conversation matters.
And I like how you dive into the deep questions that no one in the room asks. But we're working on it, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
You got your fan club here. Thank you so much.
It is practice. I mean, I was at a dinner where I was hosting a dinner, and a guy says, "You know what you're so good at, Bob?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "You are great at bringing great people together and having meaningful conversation." Highest compliment, I think. Ding, check that box. And these were some really prominent people to have that conversation with. Flo was there, and we were like, wow, that's a great conversation. So
that's what you're all about. That's you.
Yeah, I'm very thank you.
I'll
just say thank you.
Received. Given.
Received. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
And your closing remarks, sir?
My closing remarks would be, don't be afraid to be who you were designed to be. I think a lot of times we hedge our bets. Well, I'm not sure if I can do it. I'm not sure if that's who I am. Don't be afraid to who you were designed to be. And don't be who you are by default, but be there by design.
So come out and design your next level. And
yeah,
let's do this together, folks, because you're amazing.
You're amazing.
I'm amazing.
We're amazing.
We're amazing. Love you all. Bob, if you stay on, you guys, we love you. Have a wonderful week. Make good decisions, as Glenn Morshower would say. And we'll see you next week. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And what is it, Pacific time? 5? 4? 3?
4 here.
4 there. Okay.